Before 2026 shows up and looks you in the eye, asking what you did with the time you were given, you need to make a decision today. Not tomorrow, not next month, not when life slows down, right now. Because the truth is, time isn't waiting for you. Life isn't pausing for you. Your dreams aren't going to magically build themselves. And deep down, you know that. You feel it every time you say, "I'll start next week." You feel it every time you wake up knowing you could have done more yesterday. You feel it every time you watch someone else rise while you stand still, telling yourself stories to stay comfortable. Before 2026 arrives, you've got to understand something. Transformation isn't an accident, it's a decision. A moment. A line in the sand where you say, "Enough. I'm done playing small. I'm done wasting potential. I'm done letting fear and excuses run my life." You can't keep living on autopilot, hoping the next version of you will magically appear. That version of you, stronger, disciplined, focused, is only created through intentional choices made day after day, even when it's inconvenient, even when it hurts, even when nobody is watching. Some of you have been carrying the same dreams for 5 years, 10 years, maybe your whole life. And they're still untouched because you've been negotiating with your comfort zone. You've been waiting for motivation instead of building discipline. You've been treating your purpose like a hobby instead of the mission that could change your entire existence. Before 2026, that has to stop. You don't need more time. You need sharper priorities. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a relentless mindset. Let me be real with you. If you want transformation, you've got to face your truth. Not the version of the truth you sugarcoat for yourself. Not the version you present to the world. The real truth. The truth that says, "I've been playing safe. I've been settling. I've been protecting my comfort more than my calling." Because the moment you admit that, everything opens up. Growth starts where honesty begins, and once you see yourself clearly, you'll realize something powerful. Your comfort zone has been robbing you. It's been stealing opportunities, energy, discipline, and days you can never get back. Every time you choose easy, every time you delay, every time you give up early, you vote against the future you say you want. That ends today. You've got to break that pattern before 2026 breaks you. This next season of your life cannot be built on emotion alone. You need discipline, the kind that shows up when you're tired, the kind that works when you don't feel like it, the kind that doesn't rely on hype but on habit. Discipline is the difference between wishing for change and creating it. Discipline is how you turn a dream into a lifestyle. And above all, you must go all in, not halfway, not when you feel inspired, not when life is convenient. All in, because the people who win aren't the ones who had the best plan or the most talent. They're the ones who removed the safety net. They stopped giving themselves an exit route. They said, "There is no plan B, my purpose is the plan." 2026 is on its way, whether you are ready or not. And when it arrives, it won't care about your excuses. It won't care about your fears. It won't care about your delays. It will judge you by your decisions. So right now, in this moment, you make the choice that the next version of you, the stronger, sharper, unstoppable version, begins today, not eventually, not someday. Now. Because the life you want doesn't start in 2026. It starts the moment you decide to stop wasting the time. Between now and then, facing your truth is the hardest step in transformation because it demands a level of honesty most people spend their whole lives avoiding. It requires you to strip away the excuses, the stories, the justifications, and the illusions you've used to protect your comfort. It asks you to stand in front of the mirror and acknowledge not just who you want to be, but who you actually are right now. And that's uncomfortable. That stings. That exposes the gap between your potential and your reality. But until you confront that truth, You will keep repeating the same cycles, living the same patterns, and wondering why nothing is changing. Growth doesn't begin when life gets easier. Growth begins when you stop lying to yourself about why. Your life looks the way it does, when you face your truth. You stop blaming circumstances, opportunities, your past, other people, or timing. You remove the shield that's been protecting your ego and confront the fact that most of the barriers in your life come from within. Maybe you haven't been as disciplined as you claim. Maybe you haven't been giving 100%. Maybe you've been choosing comfort over commitment more often than you admit. And that realization might feel heavy at first, but it's also one of the most liberating moments you will ever experience. Because the moment you accept responsibility is the moment you regain control. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. You can't fix what you refuse to see. And you cannot transform your life before 2026 if you keep pretending everything is fine, while settling for less than what you know you're capable of. Facing your truth means calling yourself out before life has to do it for you. It means being your own accountability partner. It means being real enough to say, I could be further along, but I haven't been consistent. Or, I talk big, but my actions don't back it up. Or, I want better, but I haven't been willing to sacrifice for it. That honesty isn't meant to break you, it's meant to build you. Because once you see the truth, you can no longer hide behind potential. You're forced to step into purpose. Most people never evolve because they stay loyal to a version of themselves they've outgrown. They cling to old habits, old mindsets, old insecurities, and old fears because change feels threatening. But the truth is, staying the same is far more dangerous. Staying the same costs you dreams, years, opportunities, relationships, and peace. Facing your truth is the first step to breaking that cycle, because it forces you to confront the consequences of inaction. It forces you to look at what your life will become if you don't change. It forces you to ask, am I comfortable with who I'm becoming? And if the answer is no, that's where the transformation begins. Not in motivation, not in hype, not in waiting for the perfect moment, but in that raw realization that the life you want requires a different version of you. A stronger version, a more disciplined version, a more intentional version. Facing your truth pulls that version to the surface because it strips away everything that's been keeping you stagnant. It's not about judging yourself. It's about understanding yourself on a level deep enough to know exactly what needs to change. Maybe it's your circle. Maybe it's your habits. Maybe it's your attitude. Maybe it's the fear you've been pretending you don't have. When you face your truth, you stop guessing and start knowing. You stop hoping and start acting. You stop wishing and start working. And here's the real power. Once you face your truth, nobody can use it against you. Nobody can shake you with opinions or criticism because you've already confronted the deepest parts of yourself. You've already wrestled with your own flaws and owned them. That's where confidence is born, not from perfection, but from clarity. You know who you are. You know where you've fallen short. And you know exactly what you're going to do about it. Before 2026 arrives, you need that level of honesty. Not to shame yourself, but to free yourself. Because the person you want to become can't be built on denial. They can only be built on truth. Facing your truth requires a level of honesty that most people never reach, because it demands that you strip away every excuse, every justification, every protective layer you've built to shield yourself from discomfort. It's one of the most confronting steps you'll ever take because it forces you to see yourself without filters. The real you, not the version you present to the world. It means acknowledging your patterns, your habits, your shortcomings, and the ways you stand in your own way. Most people say they want change, but deep down, they avoid this moment because truth exposes everything they've been running from. But until you face it head on, you'll continue repeating cycles that feel familiar, but are destroying your Potential. Facing your truth begins with admitting that your current reality, good or bad, is a result of accumulated choices. It means understanding that no one else has been holding you back more than your own decisions, your own resistance, and your own unwillingness to commit fully. This isn't about self-blame, it's about reclaiming power. When you take responsibility, you take control. You begin to realize that you are not stuck, you're simply not deciding. You're not cursed, you're inconsistent. You're not unlucky, you're unprepared. And the moment you accept this, you unlock the ability to change the direction of your life at any moment. Facing your truth also means confronting the lies you've been telling yourself for years. Lies like, I don't have time, I'll start tomorrow, I can't help it, or this is just who I am. These statements create comfortable prisons. They protect your ego while trapping your potential. The truth is, you do have time, you just haven't made the choice to prioritize. You can start today, you just keep choosing the path of least resistance. You can help it, you just don't want to let go of what feels good now to earn what will feel extraordinary later. And who you are is not fixed. It's shaped daily by what you tolerate, what you pursue, and what you decide to stop allowing. Facing your truth pushes you to examine the deeper fears that have been dictating your behavior. Maybe you procrastinate because you fear failure. Maybe you settle because you fear rejection. Maybe you avoid discipline because you fear discomfort. Until you recognize these fears, you will always obey them, even when they're silently ruling your life. Awareness is the first step because you can't transform what you refuse to acknowledge. Once you name your fears, they lose their power. You stop running from them and start confronting them. Another part of facing your truth is acknowledging the people you surround yourself with and the environments you choose. If you're around individuals who normalize mediocrity, negativity, or excuses, you're going to absorb those behaviors without realizing it. Sometimes the truth is that your environment is poisoning you, and you've accepted it because it's familiar. You might have to distance yourself from certain people. You might have to change your routine. You might have to walk away from comfort, disguised as support. Growth demands that you make choices aligned with the life you want, not the life you're used to. And facing your truth means admitting that you're capable of far more than what you're currently doing. You know it. That's why you feel restless. That's why you procrastinate but feel guilty afterward. That's why you dream big but act small. Your potential keeps calling, and every time you ignore it, a part of you knows you're playing life on the lowest difficulty setting. Facing your truth is stepping out of denial and into awareness so you can finally take aligned action. When you acknowledge your truth, you reclaim the power to redirect your life in ways that align with who you want to become. It's not easy, it's not comfortable, but it is liberating. Because the moment you decide to stop lying to yourself, you stop negotiating with your excuses, and you start rising into the version of you that's been waiting to emerge. Building unbreakable discipline begins with a mindset shift that reshapes the foundation of how you operate every single day. Discipline is not something you wait to feel. It's something you decide to build brick by brick, action by action, regardless of your mood, motivation, or circumstances. Most people lose the battle before they even start because they rely on inspiration, hype, or emotion to carry them. But discipline isn't emotional, it's mechanical, it's consistent. It's a promise you make to yourself and keep no matter what. Unbreakable discipline starts with understanding that your future is being built in the moments where you don't feel like doing the work. Anyone can show up when it's easy. Anyone can commit when excitement is high. But true discipline is defined in the quiet moments, early in the morning when the bed feels warm, late at night when your energy is low, or during those long stretches where progress seems invisible. These moments are where character is forged. And if you can win these small battles, you build a mental toughness that becomes impossible to shake. Discipline grows through repetition. Every time you tell yourself you're going to do something, and you follow through, you reinforce a powerful internal identity, someone who does what they say. But every time you break that promise, you weaken your self-trust, and self-trust is the backbone of discipline. When you can't trust yourself to keep your own commitments, nothing else in your life remains stable. The path to unbreakable discipline requires that you start making small, unbreakable agreements with yourself and honoring them every single time. Discipline also demands clarity. You can't be disciplined if you don't know what you're aiming for. Many people think they lack discipline, but what they really lack is direction. When you don't have clear goals, routines, or priorities, you drift. You waste time. You allow distractions into your life because you don't have a structure that protects your focus. Unbreakable discipline thrives on structure. It thrives on routines that simplify your decisions. It thrives on removing the optional and turning actions into automatic habits. When you reduce the number of decisions you have to make daily, you eliminate opportunities for excuses to slip in. Discipline requires an honest audit of your habits. You have to look at your daily life and identify what's feeding your goals and what's feeding your downfall. Maybe you scroll too much. Maybe you sleep too late. Maybe you eat whatever feels good in the moment. Maybe you surround yourself with people who encourage your worst habits. Building discipline means replacing patterns that comfort you with patterns that challenge you. It means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. It means controlling your impulses instead of letting them control you. To build unbreakable discipline, you have to be willing to confront your weaknesses without judgment, but with absolute determination to improve. Another essential part of unbreakable discipline is learning to delay gratification. Most people fail because they live in a world that teaches them everything must be fast, easy, and satisfying instantly. But the greatest rewards in life demand patience. They require sacrifice. They require doing the hard things today so you can enjoy the results tomorrow. Discipline is learning to tolerate boredom. It's learning to repeat the same consistent actions even when the excitement fades, because you understand that consistency is where transformation happens. You don't need to be extreme, you just need to be consistent. Discipline also comes from managing your environment. If you are constantly surrounded by temptation, distraction, or chaos, discipline becomes a war you'll always lose. You have to create an environment that supports your goals. Clean your space, set boundaries, reduce access to distractions. Build an ecosystem that makes the disciplined choice the natural choice. And most importantly, unbreakable discipline requires resilience. You will fall. You will slip. There will be days when you fail. But discipline isn't about perfection. It's about return. It's about getting back on track faster every time. It's about refusing to let one bad moment turn into a bad day into a bad week, or a bad week into a lost year. It's the ability to reset, refocus, and recommit without letting guilt or frustration derail you. Ultimately, unbreakable discipline is the foundation of every great achievement. It's the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It's the force that keeps you moving when motivation disappears, and the tool that transforms potential into reality. When you master discipline, you gain control of your life, your habits, and your destiny. Going all in means eliminating the safety nets that keep you comfortable and choosing to bet fully on the version of yourself you know you're capable of becoming. Most people never reach their true potential because they always leave themselves a back door, an exit route, a plan B that allows them to retreat the moment things get uncomfortable. But when you decide to go all in, you make a commitment that leaves no room for excuses, hesitation, or half-hearted effort. You stop treating your goals like hobbies and start treating them like non-negotiable missions. Going all in is about shifting from I'll try to I will, from I hope to I'm certain, from maybe someday to starting now. It demands a level of seriousness that separates those who dream from those who execute. When you declare that quitting is no longer an option, you tap into a new level of focus, energy, and creativity that only appears when your back is against the wall and your only direction is forward. Going all in means removing the distractions that steal your attention and cutting ties with the habits that pull you away from your purpose. You can't go all in while still entertaining the lifestyle that kept you mediocre. You can't move into the future while dragging the past behind you. To go all in, you must sacrifice comfort, entertainment, and sometimes even relationships that no longer align with where you're going. This isn't about being cruel or cold. It's about being committed. When you want something big, you can't afford to let small things keep draining your time and energy. You have to reorganize your environment, your routines, and your priorities, so everything points in one direction forward. Going all in also means showing up every day with intensity, not just when life feels good. Too many people rely on emotion to power their actions. They wait for inspiration, hype, or perfect conditions. But when you're all in, you don't wait to feel ready. You move because your purpose demands it. You move because your future depends on it. You move because you've decided that failure is not your fate. Going all in forces you to operate at a capacity you didn't know you had. It forces you to tap into resilience, creativity, and grit that remain hidden when you give yourself the option to turn back. When you go all in, obstacles don't break you, they shape you. They refine your strategy, strengthen your mindset, and deepen your drive. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every challenge becomes preparation. Every failure becomes experience. People who go all in don't crumble when things get hard. They rise because they've already accepted that the path will be difficult. They understand that greatness doesn't come from convenience, it comes from commitment. Most importantly, going all in rewires your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes and start seeing yourself as someone who accomplishes. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop giving yourself permission to quit. You embrace a level of accountability that forces you to elevate in every area of life. When you go all in, the world can feel your energy. Opportunities begin to appear. People begin to take you seriously. Progress accelerates because your actions finally match your ambitions. Going all in is not a reckless leap. It's a disciplined commitment. It's the decision to trust yourself, back yourself, and invest in yourself with everything you have. Because when you remove the option to quit, you unlock the power to succeed. A final decision is the moment your life changes direction. Not because the circumstances around you shift, but because something inside you locks into place and refuses to move backward. Most people never reach their next level because they make choices with the door cracked open. They tell themselves they're committed, yet they leave space for doubt, space for excuses, space for escape. But when you make a real decision, one that comes from a place of clarity, conviction, and urgency, you eliminate that space completely. You draw a line in the sand and step over it with the full weight of your identity. A true decision is powerful because it forces everything in your life to reorganize around it. Your habits begin to change. Your priorities shift. Your mindset sharpens. The moment you decide who you're going to be, your actions begin to align with that version of you, even before the results show up. A final decision is not about saying the words. It's about becoming the kind of person who backs those words up with consistent behavior. Anyone can declare a goal. Anyone can say they want to transform before 2026, but only a few people make the decision that they will transform, no matter the cost. When you decide with that kind of intensity, hesitation loses its power, fear loses its voice, distractions lose their influence. You stop hoping for change and start demanding it from yourself. You stop waiting for signs and start creating momentum. A final decision pushes you out of the cycle of thinking about it and into the realm of action. execution, and follow through. Most people think they're stuck because of circumstances, but they're stuck because they haven't decided. They haven't committed fully enough to take on the discomfort that transformation requires. They want change without sacrifice, growth without struggle, results without resistance. But a real decision acknowledges that discomfort is part of the process. It accepts that there will be days where the grind feels heavy, where motivation is low, where setbacks sting. Yet the decision remains unchanged. When you make a final decision, you don't renegotiate with yourself every morning. You don't keep asking, "Do I feel like it today?" You move automatically because your decision has already answered the question. It becomes your standard, not your option. A final decision also clarifies your environment. Once you choose your direction, you begin to notice what aligns with your path and what doesn't. You become aware of the people who push you forward and the ones who hold you back. You recognize the habits that support your vision and the ones that sabotage it. A real decision forces you to confront the truth about your life, not with judgment, but with responsibility. If something doesn't serve you, you change it. If someone doesn't support you, you distance yourself. If a behavior doesn't match your mission, you break it. Clarity becomes a natural byproduct of commitment. And let's be real, a final decision will test you. Life has a way of checking whether you meant what you said. You'll face moments where doubt tries to creep in, where setbacks challenge your resolve, where progress feels slower than you expected. But this is where the power of your decision becomes your anchor. You remind yourself why you started. You reconnect with the version of yourself you're becoming. You refuse to return to the version you left behind. The decision becomes a promise you keep with your future self. And every time you honor that promise, you gain strength, confidence, and momentum. A final decision doesn't guarantee an easy journey, but it guarantees a meaningful one. It strips away the noise and leaves you with pure focus. It eliminates the backup plans that dilute your potential. It turns hope into action, dreams into strategy, and effort into transformation. When you make a decision with no turning back, you awaken a force inside you that most people never access, because most people never commit fully enough to feel it. Making that decision is the beginning of your breakthrough, the foundation of your next level, and the moment your future finally becomes non-negotiable.